Okay, I just put out my best albums video yesterday at the time we were watching this. Hopefully it does well. I feel like it will. My last year my album and movie top 10 videos did very well. Some of my most viewed videos, so I have a good feeling about it, honestly. We're on to my 10 favorite films of 2023. Like with the last one, this is just my personal favorite. I'm not picking the best ones. These are the ones that I liked and enjoyed the most. And of course, I will also get to my honorable mentions before I count on my top 10 films of the year. Timecodes in the description if you want to skip around to different parts of the video. Barbie, I'm honestly surprised this didn't make the top 10 at the time I saw it. I was thinking it would. It was the time and I thought it would still stay. But it just got bumped off, but still a really good movie. Asteroid City, I found to be a very interesting film from Wes Anderson, very much like a play. And it kind of is a play, technically. If you've seen it, you probably know what I'm alluding to. But just really liked the way it was structured, enjoyed all the acting, and just the cinematography, the direction is good as always. Oppenheimer, my Barbenheimer experience, I made a video on that, was cool. And I started with this one, and it was really, really good. Yeah, it's Oppenheimer. You know, of course it was going to be good. Joyride, one of the funniest movies of the year for sure. Lots of comedy, but a good amount of heart as well, which I think is important with comedies, especially if not every joke is going to land, if it's going to be an inconsistent humor, if the humor is inconsistent. I mean, Sound of Freedom, a movie that for me got a lot better in the second half once certain things happened with the characters and with the plot, and things changed in the film. Before, wasn't sure how I was going to like it, but I really, really enjoyed where it went with this expedition of sorts that our characters go on. I just want to shout out my favorite season of television that came out this year, of new ones, not older ones, but new ones that premiered in 2023. I just reviewed this actually. It would be Rick and Morty, season 7. Fans really have not been kind to this new season, and I get it. If you saw my review, you know, I did have complaints with the season, but overall I thought this was really great for me. It's like kind of mid to high tier Rick and Morty for me, not one of the weaker seasons. I don't know if I would say it's one of the better ones, but I honestly have enjoyed each season. I think each one has been at least good, and I think this was honestly great. Let's waste no more time. Let's just get to the top 10. If you saw my albums video, I was talking about trilogies. Like, trilogy should end when the third installment is good, but then I make that comment afterwards. This was what I was alluding to. We already had a really good, really solid trilogy with the first 3 John Wicks. You know, one that I thought was a little lopsided because I love the first one. I just think the second and third one are pretty good. But I think they really redeemed themselves with this one. Redeemed, because I mean, it was not like there was a bad installment, but this I think is definitely better than the previous 2 and almost on par with the first one. I loved this movie. Once again, loved all of the action scenes. And I like what it does with the character of John Wick. He feels different this time around, of course, because of some of the events that transpired in the 3rd chapter. Of course, he was going to be kind of changed and had to make adjustments being back, so to speak. And it ends things off with what feels like a conclusion to me to the series. I feel like it's over. I feel like it should be over too. Unless they have just the best idea ever, I think we should stop things here because it's an excellent finish to a great action franchise, in my opinion. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. One of, honestly, many good period pieces that came out in 2023. This one taking place in the early 70s. Of course, based on the Judy Blume novel of the same name. Great coming-of-age film, heartfelt, surprisingly funny, too, considering that a bulk of the main characters are kids, and like, just being honest, a lot of kid humor just doesn't really appeal to me anymore, but I thought these kids were hilarious. Kelly Freeman Craig is 2 for 2 in my book, with The Edge of 17 also being a great film, and this one Like, yeah, I'm there day one for whatever she does next. Barbie was the best movie of the summer. Oppenheimer was the best movie of the summer. No, it wasn't. This was. Well, maybe actually not. You'll see later, but this was better than both of those for sure. After Sony really kind of screwed up with the last Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film, even though I thought it was actually okay, and then the two Amazing Spider-Man films, it really just didn't feel like there was any coming back from what they had fumbled with this franchise. But I've enjoyed all the Tom Holland ones, and these two Spider-Verse films with Miles Morales have been fantastic. I would say this is pretty much just as good as Into the Spider-Verse. I probably do like that one a teeny bit more, but this was awesome too. The Spots, oh my gosh, what an awesome villain. Oddly and awkwardly comedic, but really scary too, especially with his motivation and where he's coming from. Really kind of terrifying at times. Like, I feel like he'll be an even better villain in the next one, assuming he comes back around. And yeah, just what they continue to do with the animation in this one too, and expanding this verse, seeing these other spider people in different worlds and universes. It's awesome. I've used that word already, but I like saying the word awesome. This movie is just awesome. This was a really cool experience going to see this. I drove to a theater that was somewhat farther away from the distance I would normally drive to a movie theater, or maybe I should say further away. I think it's the better way to word it. And I didn't know what it was about. I actually did end up recognizing, I think, one actor in the film, maybe a couple, but really I didn't know these people, didn't know the director, just pretty unaware of what this whole project was. And the result, I think, was one of the best independent films to come out all year. A pretty touching story as well. Great acting, great raw, intimate direction. And the look of it as well, the way it's shot, a lot of handheld camera work, it feels just like you're there experiencing this with not a fly on the wall. I know people use that expression, but this feels like a fly in the air, just like hovering around these people. That's how I'll describe it. In addition to having a lot of good period pieces this year, there were several good sequels / installments in the franchise. And this was yet another one of those for me. And Mission Impossible is a franchise that just keeps getting better as it goes on. Basically, I thought Mission Impossible Fallout was the best one in the series, and I can't quite say this tops it, but it comes pretty damn close. Tom Cruise is maybe kind of a weird guy in real life, but he is a hell of an actor, and the commitment he puts in to doing physical acting and stunt work, I have a lot of respect for him because of that. And the stunts and action set pieces in this film are nothing short of impressive. The characters are still all pretty likable, the main crew of people, and there's plenty of funny little quips and fun scenes with these characters, and the stakes as well. And I'm really looking forward to what part 2 brings. Also two great part 1s this year with Spider-Verse and now Impossible. Beau is Afraid is still probably the weirdest movie I saw this year. This would come close to it for me. I loved pretty much everything filmmaking wise about this film. It was just a joy to watch and experience the sound of it. Pretty much everything, technically speaking, the different camera shots and lenses that they utilize here, and the use of black and white and color. When there's color, they just pop out on the screen and smack you in the face. And some of the best performances of the year too, with Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe. Maybe uncomfortable to watch at times, especially since I saw this with a couple of my family members. It was a little weird at times, but still very cool world that they built with this movie, and a really cool story, funny. Yeah, it had a lot of things to like. Top to Me was a standout horror film that came out this year, a standout summer movie to another great summer movie. That's the theme of this video, is just pointing out repetitions that occurred in films this year. You know, best part ones, summer movies, blah, blah. Yeah, this is one that really had me kind of speechless by the end of it, especially the way that it ends. It was wild. And everything that led up to it, too, was very engaging for me. Some of the best character development that I probably saw all year, especially with the main character. Great acting, great directing, great use of its budget as well. Really cool makeup and effects utilized. And scary as well, which is, you know, what most people search for with a horror movie. Is it scary? I think this one is. Though The Holdovers is not my favorite movie of the year, I think I can definitely say this was the most pleasant watch for me. Like, I felt like I was just at home on a snowy day with my grandma making cookies and boiling noodles or whatever. I don't know. It just felt like a very homey, comfy movie to watch. I would definitely love to watch this like around Christmas time in the future. It's just a very cozy watch. Part of that is also because it takes place around Christmas time. We see these characters during Christmas. This one, similar to Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, also takes place in the early 70s and kind of follows a grouping of unusual characters that you wouldn't typically meld together. It's kind of the theme of the film, is sort of like Breakfast Club. A bunch of people that just don't seem like they would really fit or get along. And as the movie goes on, we see kind of how they start to develop this relationship amongst themselves, and specifically the two main characters. Paul Giamatti is such an underrated actor, in my opinion, and I loved his work here. I hope he gets an Oscar nomination. He is so good here. A charming watch. Also did like the music quite a bit here too. Some of the song selections that were nice, added to the cozy vibe that was given off here. This movie should not have been good. Why would this be interesting? A movie about how Michael Jordan decides to sign with Nike? How is that interesting? But damn it, they made it one of the most entertaining films of the whole year. Ben Affleck just coming out of nowhere and directing one of the best movies of the whole year. I like Ben Affleck as a director, don't get me wrong, but I did not know he had this in him. In terms of like just casually directing something like this, of course, other movies of his, you could tell he put in a lot more work and effort. Not to say that that wasn't evident here, but it just felt much more, it felt more effortless, I guess. Acting-wise, he's also very good here, as is Matt Damon, Jason Bateman, Viola Davis, Chris Tucker. I don't watch any sports or care about any sports except NBA basketball. I love it. I'm a Laker fan basically for life, even though I've only been following them for roughly 13 years now, like actually keeping up with their seasons. So of course this was naturally going to appeal to me, and it did. It was just a great time at the theater for me. Great use of its setting too, of course, taking place in the 80s. It does feel very 80s with the song choices, their hair and clothes and whatnot. And they were able to make it very satisfying too, like everything leading up to Michael Jordan going with Nike. It was just like such a satisfying, grand finish to the film for something that should have been so boring and anticlimactic, but it just wasn't. I don't know how they did it, but they did. Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon was a killer movie. Jokes aside, when is this guy going to start making bad movies? The dude is old as hell. He's on his deathbed and he's making the best movie of the year. I'm obviously joking when I say that. This if anyone's taking me seriously, it's just fun and games. I don't mean that. Although I do mean that he made the best movie of the year, because this is the best movie of this year. I feel like it did something really interesting where, similar to what I said of An Age, where you feel like you're a fly in the moment with these characters and around them. I felt the same way about this, but also like you're kind of getting a history lesson at the same time. Interesting. Knockout performances across the board. Lily Gladstone, I think, being the best of them, but of course, Leo DiCaprio, Bob De Niro. I just called him Bob De Niro. I don't know why. Jesse Plemons, I really liked too. I thought he's kind of getting overlooked amongst these award ceremonies. He was great. And really, you just feel everything that these characters go through. Not to spoil anything, but at a certain point, some of the characters are sick, and you just feel really the movie kind of slow down at that point, and whenever things are picking up, when things are transpiring in an exciting way for these people, you feel that too. You feel just all different kinds of momentum, whether in a good way or bad way. Great film, great filmmaking, directing, acting, amazing ending too. Loved it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Yes, I'm done. I'm finally done with these Speedos. I like making them, don't get me wrong, but there is also a good part of me that's like relieved to be finished once I'm actually done with them. I feel good about them, honestly. I feel like I've talked about these films and albums pretty well in decent detail, and I have ideas already for kind of some of the editing I'm going to do. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, and I think they're going to turn out well. But yeah, just like with the albums video, I want to know your top 10 or your top 5 or your top 3, whatever your favorite movie. You know, let me know that too. Let me know some of your least favorites as well. I forgot to say that in my albums video. I don't personally like to talk that way about negatively worst movies, worst records of the year. But if you want to, you can. I'll welcome that. Any of your favorite shows that came out as well, I'd like to know that. Of course, you know, I don't watch a whole lot of new TV that comes out. So what did you guys like that came out last year? And thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already watched it, I do have my albums video uploaded, as I mentioned, my top 10 albums of 2023. So go watch that if you want. And I will see you all in whatever my next video will be. Peace out.